I'm like, are you ready for this? Do, 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 do. I see the countdown start on the video, and I forget this is not like on word sprints where Hank and I like to talk when the countdown happens because we know everyone can hear us.
Yeah.
So we always make a joke. It's not like that on First Novel Problems. Welcome,
No.
everyone, to First Novel Problems, where you can't hear the things we say during the countdown.
Or the dances that Abby does with her new skirt.
That's
Or
right.
see them. Yeah.
I'll just show the fabric off. So it only kind of matches my First Novel Problem shirt, but I don't care. I feel like if you own it, it matches.
Yes.
So
It's whatever you prefer at this
just
point. So.
you be you. So,
Yep.
um, speaking of First Novel Problems, Brooke has no idea what we're going to talk about today, and I find that delightful.
I find it like horrifying because I
That's
know when you're up to something, it's not going to end nicely for me. So
No, I find it delightful when you're horrified. But this is, it's an easy peasy day, all right? Because you decided on our previous episode that you are going to do mine and Hank Garner's favorite way to plan a book, which is to just write like a 10-page short story version. You're leaving out all the details. You just put the meat on the bones, so to speak. And eventually you will just keep layering in more and more and more details so that it gets larger and larger and larger and larger. So little like the snowflake method, a little not like the snowflake method, a little like the inside outline in that this paragraph sort of leads to the next paragraph, but it's kind of our own thing. And I realized, though, you still need to understand some of the storytelling beat in order to be able to get your story onto the page in that 10-page span.
is that why we're wearing
And
headphones today so we can really hear the beat drop?
how the beat drop? Well, I'm wearing them because it is summer and I have two very loud teenagers in the house, and these are noise canceling.
I know I have my better ones right here. I don't know why I don't wear those, but it's all right. We'll go.
So, well, we'll drop a beat. We'll pretend like it's because we're wearing our Dr. Dre's.
Yeah.
And I caught the reference. I'm cool enough. But we're going to talk about the inciting incident today, which is such a natural place, I think, to start when you start thinking about your story.
Mm-hmm.
And the inciting incident, for anyone who has never heard this term before, which, by the way, have you ever heard the term inciting incident as it refers to writing?
Only because I've been forced to hang out with you guys lately.
Okay, fair. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So for those unfamiliar with the term, all right, the inciting incident is the piece that kicks off your story. For lack of a better explanation, it is literally the piece that kicks off your story, all right? It does not have to happen on the first page, right? It can happen on the first page, but it doesn't have to happen on the first page. It just needs to happen pretty quickly in your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a term called in media res. Now, have you ever heard that Latin term? I may be butchering it, but I think I'm saying it correctly. Okay, so in media res is Latin for in the middle of the action. If I'm remembering correctly, I feel like, oh, all of a sudden, maybe I should Google that Latin translation, but it just means oftentimes writers like to start their stories in media res, in the middle of the action, because it will keep the reader turning pages. The reader asks the question, if it can get answered pretty quickly, and you jumpstart the story, you are more likely to sort of hook a reader. Okay. So I was in many ways confusing this when I very first started writing. I had heard you start in media res, and I was like, great. So for my very first novel, I started off the first pages with this girl, okay, legitimate 12-year-old girl chasing a man through the woods, a full-grown man through the woods because he had stolen her library book. And then he turned into a dog because this was a magical story for middle graders, right? And I thought I was doing it all right because I was literally starting off the first page in the middle of the action. And I'm like, that's my inciting incident. The guy steals her book. She chases after him in the woods. And the story kicks off from there.
Mm-hmm.
But I left out a really crucial piece that I learned actually in a workshop at a conference for SCBWI. So for those of you that don't know, SCBWI is the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And there was a very smart woman who was also a professor of creative writing who said, when you start in media res, you also have to remember to give your reader a little bit of context. If your reader does not know why they should care about your character, they do not care how exciting it or crazy your initial pages are, if they don't know what the hell is going on, they're going to be confused and they're going to stop reading. And so I've learned there's sort of a balance to this. Now, of course, I heard that advice. And because I was a green writer, my initial knee-jerk reaction to that advice was, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I
think but that's so common. I feel like even though, okay, so I've been around for a little bit now, just a tiny bit.
A hot minute.
I think we see that in even some of our community members and the people that we talk to all the time. They're like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. And sure, if you're writing for yourself, I think that's fine. But sometimes you're just like, but does it really not apply to you?
Okay, so there would be situations where I could see that advice does not apply. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the biggest situation that I could see would be if you are writing literary. All right.
Right.
So many people, if you're writing literary, you're looking to break the rules. And I could see that if you are approaching this with intention and you've had this idea to start in media res, I could see even starting the story mid-sentence. So that it's you start with the M dash and you're mid-sentence and you keep going and you're doing something really artsy, but it serves a purpose.
Yes.
Right? If it serves a purpose, then do it. But if you are writing for the commercial market and your goal is to sell a bunch of books and you want to hook your reader, pay attention to that context advice. Okay? Because what I wasn't really thinking about, because I thought I was, if that advice didn't apply to me, was I didn't think about the creepy factor of a 12-year-old girl chasing a legitimate grown man through the woods by herself over a library book. What 12-year-old girl is going to chase a strange man into the woods because he took her stinking library book? I don't care if it is your favorite library book. Every parent out there reading that first chapter would use that as an example of what not to do.
Yeah.
Which is not how I'm going to sell a whole bunch of books that are being bought by the gatekeepers, the parents, the librarians, the teachers, because they're going to be like, this is a big red flag.
Yeah.
Because I didn't give enough context to set up the magical world so that readers know this is magic, this is fantasy. Okay. So I'm bringing this up because you are writing women's fiction, right? So you are writing in a commercial genre. The idea is for you to sell books, right? And what I'm afraid of for you is that you may do the opposite and give too much context.
I could see that too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, where this happens oftentimes is in epic fantasy. and people want to write the prologues that are like 45 pages long that tell you who beget who, and then who took over what kingdom, and this happened, and yada, yada, because you think the reader needs to know all of that before the story starts, when they don't. You have to find a way to start the story. You give just the information that the reader needs to feel invested, and the rest of that backstory gets sprinkled in. And because so much of your story relies on past events, I don't want you to start too far in the past. Because what I want you to keep in mind is the reader is going to be discovering the mother's past at the same time that Paige, your main character, is discovering the mother's past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with this kind of little bit in mind, do you have any idea of what your inciting incident is, and alternately where you want to start your story? So inciting incident first, and then figure out what context you need to make that inciting incident work.
So I think the inciting incident, and the more we thought through this, I think you and I have discussed this already, is her mom dying. Like that is the inciting incident in the story. And the way I have done some writing on this, and the way I have it outlined right now, it's like Christine starts her day, and then she gets the phone call midway through the day. So it's pretty early on that the inciting incident starts.
And that works well if we're using Save the Cat as an analysis tool, which we've kind of talked about, writing out your 10 pages and then identifying where those elements lie. You are showing sort of the everyday world first, and then immediately getting into the phone call. So you'll show just enough of Christine's everyday life. Do you have Paige? Where did I come up with the name Christine?
Christine is her name. Paige is my daughter's real name.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, everyone's following along at home. Okay. So I think that's going to be the trick, and that's going to be a drafting problem. So right now, I think you've got just what you need in order to get started. But that is definitely the natural, I think, inciting incident, because you can't go back after that happens.
Right.
And that, I think, is the piece about the inciting incident that you have to make sure that you give your main character a problem that they cannot turn away from. They cannot go back to their normal life after this thing happens. And her mom dies. This is not a magical story. There's no necromancy. We're not coming back from the dead. The ghost is not going to haunt us. This is not like when she's gone, she's gone. And so Christine has no choice but to then deal with the fallout.
Yes.
So awesome. I think that's a perfect place to start. So where are you in your we'll call it an outline, but I feel like we need a fancier term for it than outline, like your planning document, I don't know.
I think I have not had a chance to work on it anymore. I actually have it slotted to work on it today. So I think I have about 4 pages done of the 10 that we want to start.
Fantastic. And you know the ending.
Yes.
You know the beginning.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, good. So you'll get to update us. Next time we talk to you, maybe all 10 pages will be done.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, everybody. Well, that wraps it up for First Novel Problems, Inciting Incidents. And we'll catch you next time when we'll have to see what problems Brooke encounters while finishing her short story version of the test. And of the test. What are we, in school? Did you hear me say that? I called it your test.
We need to come up with a term for it. If this onioning thing is going to happen, we've got to come up with the term for it.
If anybody watching has a good idea of what we should call this, please put it in the comments so you can help us coin, because we call it onioning. because that's what Hank has always called it, but it makes me think of in Shrek when it's like ogres have layers. Well, what
Yeah.
about parfaits? Everybody loves a good parfait. Like, but parfaiting doesn't have this, it doesn't roll off the tongue quite like onioning. So
No,
anyway,
no, it
if you
doesn't.
have any good ideas, let us know. Maybe we'll have solved that problem before next time when we catch you guys on First Novel Problems.
Bye.
Bye.